you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday. It is March 4th. We continue to roll further into the calendar. March Madness around the corner. Conference tournaments for ECU will start next week. We do have conference tournament action getting underway this week, and then the NCAA tournament will be here before we know it. Baseball season getting a little further, getting a little warmer. Pirate baseball coming off a winning week. We've got a lot to discuss there. As always, we're live on YouTube and Facebook. If you got a question, a comment, a concern, drop it there. We'll get to it over the course of the next hour. We've got a lot to discuss. We'll be talking a lot of baseball today. Is this a statement week for ECU baseball? We'll get into that discussion with Coastal Carolina rolling into town in a midweek game tonight, Gardner-Webb in Fayetteville. All right, let's introduce today's cast. We have in the 94.3 The Game studios, per usual, Philip Pilkington. He is the man behind the glass, always pulling and pushing the buttons. Most of the time correct. I would say you have a 99% hit rate, Philip. So welcome back.
Yeah, definitely ain't 100. We know that. It is not 100.
Hey, well, 99 is still pretty dang good. Yeah, and we also have Cason Remaley.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The return of Cason.
You can say whether that's the right button or wrong, depending on your opinion of Cason, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, if we're talking Carolina Curveball power rankings, then we know that that's the right button, which we'll get into. Cason Remaley, former Hoist the Colors intern from Carolina Curveball, doing his thing, and he was back in Greenville this weekend for basketball and baseball, so figured it would be an appropriate time to get him back. Cason, how's it going?
Good. Great. It was great to be back. It was great to see you guys, of course, first, and great to see two Pirate wins. I was there on Sunday, wasn't there on Saturday. I know they got a big one versus Indiana State, but I came on Sunday for my good friend Cam Hayes. It was his senior night. First Charlotte, I was there for his first college game at NC State, and then it's crazy to see his kind of path all the way to Greenville, and then stayed for the baseball game. It was absolutely freezing in the jungle, by the way. It was ice cold over there. And I will say me and my good friend Reed left in the fifth inning to go to Sup Dogs and watch the rest of it because we were so cold. And, hey, it worked out just fine because they started scoring when we left. So, look, the reason we won is because of us leaving, so it worked out.
It was cold, man. I was in the stands taking pictures, and it was very cold. So I don't blame you at all. And, you have to hit Sup Dogs when you're back in town, so I don't blame you there either. Guys, let's see. We'll talk some basketball later because Cason is a basketball guy, and he's got much to say about the Pirate Hoops. But we're going to talk some ECU baseball to begin with, and we'll get into some thoughts around the Carolinas in general. But, I have the title of the show is this a statement week for ECU baseball? And that's kind of maybe a little bit hyperbole this early in the season, overstated, exaggerated. But I feel like this is a huge week. If ECU wants to kind of put this early start behind you, eventually you have to put something on your resume if they're going to get back to being a top 25 caliber team like this program has been. And I kind of see Coastal Carolina right now, guys, is in the spot that ECU is usually in. They're going to be talked about as an Omaha sleeper. They're going to be talked about as a regional host, the non-power baseball school in the region. So, to me, you got to take care of business versus Gardner-Webb, which we'll get into. But this weekend is kind of a statement week. It makes for a statement week. I don't know. Do you agree, Cason? And you've watched a lot of Coastal this year as well. So, what are your thoughts on this week for the Pirates?
I think, just like you said, it's a massive week. I definitely think we need to be looking at Gardner-Webb first instead of Coastal Carolina. I definitely think you should look in the future and look at Coastal Carolina, But Gardner-Webb is a solid baseball team. I know they dropped the series this past week to App State, but Dale Francis, I know you talked last night on Ducks on the Pond. Be sure to tune into that. Steven's show on Monday nights with Wags and Scott. But y'all talked about Dale Francis, who I mentioned, who hit 5 home runs in the series versus App State, just an absolute monster. And just the approach to him is just don't let people in front of him get on base. Don't give up walks. I know that's been a problem this year so far. Just if they can kind of control that, they can get a win. I know they've played in this stadium twice, to my knowledge. I know I was there the last 2 times. 2 years ago, they played Campbell there. Luke Nowak had a leadoff triple to start the game, and then ECU didn't score until the 7th inning, and then Campbell kind of did what Campbell does, just kind of squeezed the life out of ECU. And then last year they played versus UNC, and Zach Root pitched the game of his life, and it kind of breaks my heart to say this, but I would honestly calmly say that was the best game he pitched in an ECU uniform, and it wasn't televised. Most of the world didn't see it. He was absolutely outstanding against one of the best lineups in the country for the Tar Heels. And tonight they have another good test in Gardner-Webb. I'm not going to sit here and say Gardner-Webb is this massive great opponent, but it's the midweeks. And in Northern South Carolina, the Carolinas, anyone can beat anyone. On two weeks ago, UNCG beat Wake Forest 4-0. They blanked Wake Forest, top 15 Wake Forest. So it really just goes to show anyone can beat anyone. And then going into this weekend, Coastal Carolina, that team can mash. They've always been able to mash, and now the pitching's there. In years past, you would have to outscore them. Now their pitching is, I would say, more under control, and they got guys coming out the pen and starting. So it's going to be tough this weekend, but I'm really kind of focused on the Bulldogs tonight.
Gardner-Webb, Cason takes it one game at a time. Philip, how about you? Or you? Is he talking to somebody off air? But Philip, I don't know. Is it too much to say this is a statement week for ECU this early in the season?
No, it's not. And it's not a statement from the fact of the team they can be. It's a statement from the fact of the resume. Because when you look at the bad start they had in 2022, they had the 20-plus game win streak to counter it. They had 2 games against Duke that year as opposed to 1. This year we only played Campbell twice. Some past we've played them 3 times. There's not a lot of good resume opportunities down the stretch, and that was what Cason hit on at the beginning there. This is probably your best resume build weekend of the year between now and the regionals. I mean, I know that sounds bad to say, but it's the truth. This conference is so down. So this is a statement to the committee weekend. I don't think it's a statement to yourself. I don't think it's a statement to the ceiling that you can become because it's so early in the season. But if you want to put something on a resume that says we deserve to host, you have to have a weekend series win over a team who's worth a darn. Well, guess what? The committee's not going to view anyone in the American other than East Carolina as a good baseball team. They are going to view Coastal Carolina as a good baseball team.
Going off of that, some good comments here. Lane Smith, who I sat beside Sunday in the cold, good to see Lane again. He said, I have a bad feeling it's going to be a 1-3 week. Does that pretty much ensure that we have to almost be perfect in the American to have a shot at the postseason? Cameron follows that up with biggest series of the weekend. I don't know if he means season or like biggest series of anybody all weekend. He says if we get swept, we will need to be near perfect in the American to get an at-large bid. I do agree. Yeah, if you get swept in the series, you are in big trouble, guys, because at that point, you would not have a win in a traditional weekend series against, 2 top 25 caliber teams, which on a resume, that's probably going to show up as 0-6 versus, quad 1 at that point. Versus if you get a couple wins here, it looks a lot better. Virginia Tech could end up being a quad 1, quad 2 type team. We know that. So I agree, Philip. I think from a resume perspective, realistically to have a shot to host, unless you just go on an insane 20-game winning streak like you said, Cason, this is a series they got to win. And again, like Gardner-Webb, they got to take care of business tonight. You can't look past that. But from a big picture perspective, this is a massive weekend for the resume.
Yeah, for sure. And just kind of back on y'all's points last night on Ducks on the Pond, I can confidently say this, and I really do believe it. I don't think Cliff's going to let them lose this weekend. I just fully believe it. I mean, during my time at ECU and just being around him, being around that team, there are not many coaches in the country that can will their team to win, and I think Cliff is not going to let them lose. It sounds crazy and simple, but I really believe that. And whether that's him getting ejected or him being in the dugout with the young guys, I really don't see this team losing this weekend. I personally think they sweep them. And I also said last night that the moment will be too big for Coastal Carolina. I will say they have played some quality opponents, but I know that East Carolina is going to show up this weekend for sure. I will say one thing that does hurt, though. It is spring break this weekend starting, so I don't know about the student crowd will be there, but I know that the city of Greenville will be there because it is Coastal Carolina, and Coastal now does have that ranking sticker on them, number 24. And just back on to end it. I don't see them losing because I don't think Cliff will let them.
This is historically a spot ECU plays really well in, like you said, Cason. What do you? It's been a few weeks since we had you on, so what do you think about this team? What you've seen, both in person, following it online thus far through 11 games, still being 5-6 overall.
I honestly have no real worries about this team. I mean they're young at nearly every position, and we are missing arguably the best player, Riley Johnson, who is not yet to play, which is a very unfortunate situation. And then Ryan Towers and Tolik have not pitched yet. And I mean, it's kind of like you have three of your best players on ice, and I don't think they're playing bad right now. I really don't think so. This weekend they played well, barring one inning versus Kent State. I was fine. I think Austin Irby has been a massive bright spot. AP in center field, and I guess the corner outfields are kind of interchangeable pieces with kind of what you want to do there. I know the infield's pretty set in stone with Boucher, Wallace, and Dixon and Irby, but I guess the corner outfields are kind of my only question mark of who's going to be out there at certain points. We've seen Bowman out there. We've seen Burris out there. We've seen a bunch of guys out there. We've even seen Dixon Williams in center field. I think that's really my only question mark about it. And the bullpen, I have no worries about them. They have guys in there. Starting pitching's fine. I will say I am looking forward to when Ryan Towers gets back, hopefully, so he can take a spot on the weekends so we can see Norby maybe more than once a week, which I think is the goal from this staff and program. So I'm not worried about this program. I mean, people were saying the sky was falling after we played the top 5 team in the country, number 4 in the country, and that's an Omaha team. I mean, I think everyone on that pitching staff has potential to play in the show. So I'm not worried about them. And Sunday versus Virginia Tech, a good ACC team that I think is going to bounce back, is a great win at home.
We got a comment from Kenny Curlins who says, just win midweek games and get as many sweeps in the conference. Go Pirates. The warmer it gets, the bats will heat up. Kenny adds, so Gardner Webb, guys, is 6-7 on the season. Of course, first pitch tonight from Segra Stadium in Fayetteville, set for 6 o'clock. Could be a cold one. They're coming off a series loss at Appalachian State. They lost to South Carolina last Tuesday, 14-4 on the road. They won 3 out of 4 against Mercyhurst in a series, and they won a midweek game over Davidson, 12-2. They also lost 3 of 4 to St. Bonaventure. So they're 6-7 overall, 5-4 at home, 1-3 on the road. Dale Francis, who Cason asked about yesterday, 7 home runs on the season, 5 last week, 4 in the same game. So give us your take on the Gardner Webb running Bulldogs as part of the Carolina Curveball crew, Cason. What does ECU have to worry about tonight?
Honestly, Dale Francis. I mean, just to kind of keep it kind of short and plain, they did have a pitcher, I think 2 week during our first honorable mentions, he pitched 7 innings, shutout innings with 10 strikeouts. But like you said, not versus a very formidable opponent. I think this will be the best team for sure Gardner Webb has played this season. I definitely think that the key is to not let Gardner Webb get on base, and I think that's a problem ECU's had. They've let guys get on base, and then slowly they'll walk 2 guys, and one guy hits a double. Shoot, there's 2 runs, maybe 1. Just basically just keep him off base. There's not really – I don't have really a massive scouting report on Gardner Webb, but just don't pitch to Dale Francis. Just if you get him on, just make sure you get the guys out. Nothing too crazy.
I'm also seeing they have an outfielder by the name of Lawson Knight who is hitting just 268 with no home runs, but, guys, is already 11 of 11 on stolen bases, 13 walks compared to 9 strikeouts for a 500 on-base percentage. So I imagine he hits at the top of the order. So throw strikes to him and don't let Dale Francis knock him in. I don't know, Phil, these games always worry me, not from the standpoint of, like, look, I mean, we're talking about the Coastal Series. We're in the media. It's our job. But, like, I don't think the team's looking ahead. It's just you're going to play a neutral site game on the road. It's Gardner Webb. What are your thoughts on the game tonight? You think ECU can take care of business?
I do. And, part of the reason, there's 2 reasons these games always worries us. You just hit on reason A. You look forward to the big weekend series. Reason B, it's the bottom of our bullpen against the bottom of theirs. And regardless of whether you're one of the better teams in the country or one of the worst teams in the country, the bottom of your bullpen is usually not very good. Well, guess what? This year, I finally feel somewhat confident in the bottom end of our bullpen. I think there are some guys who, maybe we didn't see in high leverage situations this weekend that we still trust. Where so many times you go into that Tuesday game and you're like, well, can Wyatt Lunsford, Sheikman, and Danny Beal really go out there and throw some more? Because if they don't, we're just going to have to outscore them. Well, guess what? We finally have some depth in that bullpen, so I'm even less worried than I would have been in previous years, despite, previous years you got Trey and Zach out there dealing on Friday and Saturday. I think this team is more equipped to win midweek games than the other teams are from a bullpen standpoint. Now, the one thing that worries me a little bit, because you usually have to score runs to win midweek games, other teams have been better at scoring runs than this one, but it is starting to come together. We saw some bats wake up over the weekend, and I do think that CG is finally starting to figure out kind of who fits in this lineup.
Bradley Zayak will get the start tonight. He has started the previous few weekend series, so we'll see how he does in a midweek role, and I think from there, obviously, it'll be a bullpen type of game for the Pirates. Again, 6 o'clock, first pitch. We'll have you covered. No TV tonight. So 5:45, we'll have the audio pregame on 94.3 The Game. 6 o'clock first pitch with Dylan Johnson on the call. All right, we will get a break in. When we come back, we will shift gears and talk about baseball across the Carolinas, which will also feature some ECU talk still. But I mainly just want to hear Cason explain why Wofford is ranked ahead of ECU in the power ranking. So we'll get into that. Much more as well across the Carolinas with Carolina Curveball discussion on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master.
everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday. We're talking a lot of college baseball today. We just discussed East Carolina and the state of the week ahead with Gardner-Webb tonight, but then more importantly, the weekend, Coastal Carolina, when that gets here. 6 o'clock tonight, and then Clark LeClair Stadium, the venue for this weekend series. We'll now take a look across the Carolinas. Carolina Curveballs, Cason Remaley, former Hoist the Colors intern, is with us. Philip Pilkington also with us on the show today. Now, we got a lot to address here, Cason. Your power rankings stir up quite a lot of controversy, which is a good thing. It makes for some clicks. This week's Week 3 power rankings from Carolina Curveball, just for the listening audience, if you haven't seen it yet. Again, this power ranks all the top teams in the Carolinas, North and South Carolina. North Carolina sitting in first at 12-0, excuse me. Clemson at second at 10-1. Coastal Carolina third at 10-2, up 2 spots from a week ago. Wake Forest at fourth. South Carolina, which got swept by Clemson, drops to fifth. Duke still sitting in the 6th spot, which I have some reservations about as well. Wofford at 7. Now, I should say Wofford was a 40-win team last year and a tournament team, and they're 11-1. They haven't played anybody. But UNC Wilmington at 8, Charleston at 9, NC State at 10, ECU at 11, and High Point at 12. So, Cason, your thoughts. How heated were these rankings? I've got multiple thoughts on them myself, but I'll let you take the floor first.
They weren't too heated this week, but I would say that most of our ballots were different from each other. I definitely agree with your point. I definitely think that sometimes we look at so much of what happened to them this week, especially last week with NC State and ECU. Just they had 2 horrible weeks, and just we don't sometimes. And I'm not trying to get in too much in the weeds here, but I definitely think the rankings are more of a reflection of what they did during that week in terms of the teams they beat, kind of how they performed, not so much like a holistic approach sometimes, and that's just kind of how it is. But, Steve, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts, though.
Philip, do you have any thoughts on this before I take center stage?
I was trying to look up kind of who's beating who here, kind of doing a little cheat sheet on it. Yeah, I mean, sorry, going back to – I'm trying to pull up the rankings now. I was going through High Point's schedule. Yeah, Wofford, who have they beaten? Because I would expect them to be ahead of
Lemoyne.
Oh, well, then explain it.
They've beaten nobody.
Yeah, they haven't. But, no, I mean – to Cason's point of it is a little bit what they did the previous week, which is important. But also I think, overreacting is bad. And I don't think this list is overreacted. For example, Wake still being at 4th. Yes, they lost to Greensboro a couple weeks ago in the midweek. But also, Greensboro beat them last year in the midweek when they were number 1 in the country, pretty early in the season. So I think there's got to be a little bit of who's on the roster bias this early in the season. Yes, once you get down later in the year, Cason, are you frozen? Oh no, I saw you text and you were not moving at all.
You're good.
Look, I think ECU maybe should be a little higher, but I'm not going to sit here and go and say that I know the most about Charleston's program or Wilmington's program right now either. Now, with that being said, ECU did 3 of those losses are to the team who's 12-0 right now at the top of these, and I wish that was taken a little more consideration. But at the end of the day, power rankings are for the talking heads like us. They don't actually mean anything.
No doubt. And look, I mean, we'll have more clarity or maybe less, because what happens if ECU wins the series over Coastal? Then what do y'all do, Cason? Or if they sweep them, does Coastal go from 3 to below ECU? There's a lot to find out there. North Carolina, Clemson. To me, I would probably have Clemson number 1 right now, although I certainly understand. You can make an argument for both, but Clemson sweeping South Carolina, that is extremely impressive. Obviously, North Carolina's sweep of Texas Tech and ECU is strong. I think South Carolina, though, a little bit louder of a sweep at this point. Has Duke beaten anybody quality at this point?
No, Northwestern's their best win, which is kind of the laughing stock of the Big Ten.
So yeah, I mean, lost a series to Cincinnati, which has since kind of fallen apart. Beat Cornell in a series, lost midweek games to Liberty and Campbell.
Don't hate on the Big Red now.
Yeah, I mean, so their resume is lacking, but Braxton in the comments, who's part of the Carolina Curveball crew, says Wofford gets tested this week at Kentucky, so that'll be a good test for them. Hey, look, I mean, we're arguing about power rankings because, like Philip said, that's what we do, and I think it's one of those things where it's still too early to definitively say what's right and what's wrong. I mean, baseball is a weird sport. But I have a feeling, Cason, it's just going to get more confusing. I said more clarity earlier. I think it might get more confusing if ECU wins this series over Coastal.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation if ECU wins this series for sure, and just some other movement. Like and that's just what it's going to be week to week, because these teams do all play each other at some point during the midweek or on the weekends, and it's chaos, and that's kind of what we bought this. So we're kind of rolling with it. So it'll be week by week for sure.
Is there a team not included on this power rankings that's having a decent season in the Carolinas, or is it just kind of too early to say one way or the other?
I think on the outside looking in, Charleston Southern Bucks were a team that were on the outside looking in. They have I think they're 8-2, 9-2, but they were looking to get that 12th spot over High Point, who lost 2 to Mercer this weekend, did beat them one time. But Charleston Southern did lose to a winless Bellarmine team, so that kind of knocked them off there. But there are some other solid programs. UNCG dropped a series to Pitt, but like I said before, they did beat Wake Forest. UNCG solid. USC Upstate solid. Winthrop solid. There aren't many horrible teams. I'm not going to harp on the bad teams, but there's definitely more good teams than there are bad teams in the Carolinas, no doubt.
Is Elon close on this? Because I know they're 5-6, but when you look at their losses, 3 of them are to number 1 Texas A&M. 1 of them is to number 12 Wake. You take those out. I mean, obviously you got to win the games you play, but when you're talking about a mid-major team, you don't expect to beat teams that are going to be favored to win a College World Series.
Yeah, Elon is one of those teams that are right there on the outside too. They're led by Kenny Mallory, Vanderbilt transfer. He's been an absolute stud for them. And every week, if you look on our Twitter profile, we have Elon Phoenix players every week getting tweeted out on Monday for their performances. They're a solid team, and I'm not looking forward to ECU playing them because they will give them a test. They gave them a test, I think, 2 years ago there when Riley Johnson did the flip over home plate at Elon. That was a crazy game. But just like you said, they are a solid team led by Kenny Mallory, who's one of the best players in the Carolinas for sure.
Off topic, have either of you ever covered a game at Elon?
No. I have not. I have no desire
Hottest
to.
press box ever. It faced directly west. It is horrible. You can't see because there's like glare coming in. Whatever windows they use intensify the sun. It was a cool little atmosphere. Pirate Nation showed out. Riley Johnson did a front flip over somebody. But if you ever decide to cover a game at Elon, just probably go sit in the stands because that press box is tight and it's hot. So kind of sounds like some of Malcolm's stories from the West Coast.
That's, I think, the only in-state venue the ECU regular plays at that I have not been to, nor do I've had never any desire to go. I don't know. Elon's kind of far too, so it's like one of those things. I don't really want to go out of my way to cover a game there.
Well, we were on our way back. When I went, we had played in Kannapolis against Queens the night before, so I went and covered that.
What a game that was! Also,
yeah, that was crazy. So then we pit stopped in Greensboro, went to the ACC tournament for like a game and a half, and then went to Elon. We made a whole week out of it. It was great.
That guy
I can't remember that pitcher's name.
32 pitches.
He followed me on Twitter one time a year later because I tweeted about how his arm was going to fall off. That was his legacy game. There's
me and
no
Chip
doubt.
were sitting in the press box looking at each other like, dude, if they lose this game, we might just both quit our jobs on the spot and walk away so that we never have to see anyone on this team or Coach Godwin again. We might just walk out because we were scared sitting in that press box. I am not going to lie. The people that worked for Queens were extremely nice. It was a great experience. But if we lost that game, oh my goodness! And I was worried the fans were going to like riot. 'Cause there was a lot of ECU fans.
It was bad.
And it was about 12 degrees, so they were already ticked off because they were cold.
I just remember homeboy who threw that much. I remember checking the box score like the next week, and he went like 2 innings, get like 13 runs. Like it was the most predictable thing ever because he threw like this was an early season game too, and he was just going out there. I think it was something something I don't know, Bagwell or something. I don't know.
I'll go look it up. What year was that?
Yeah. It would have been. It was the first year of the the purple.
Was it 22?
The purple powders, powder purples.
No, it was 23.
23. So look that up.
Had to be.
And I just remember that pitcher followed me. Quickly, as we get Philip does that. Cason, give us the Coastal Carolina scouting report. Who does ECU need to watch out for this weekend?
Three guys really jump off the page. First, Caden Bodine, one of the best catchers in the country, if not the best. Him and Luke Stevenson from Chapel Hill, 2 of the best in the country, and luckily we have them here in the Carolinas. Just kind of like Wags talked about last night, he's a very, very good defensive catcher, and just he's going to make it tough for ECU to get those calls. Just how he frames it, and then talk about him at the plate. He's an unbelievable player. I'm not sure, Steven. I don't think he was on the team when they came here for the regional 3 years. Was he on the team? I'm not sure. He would have been real young. Do you know off the top of your head?
You talking about the catcher, Bodine?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I think he would have been. I think he would have been the next year. If he was on the team, okay. I'm looking it up real quick. He was a freshman. I just know he played for the Dirtbags. He was one of the guys who was one of the top catching prospects coming out. Defensively, and then he's really developed his game offensively as well. Yeah, 23 was his freshman year, so he would have been still in high school at that point because Coastal was 22.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So,
and then Coastal also has. Sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say Coastal also has Blake Barthel, one of the best second basemen in the country. He's an absolute stud, and then a name that most people will remember, maybe not, Colby Thorndike is now in Coastal Carolina. He was at ECU 2 years ago, spent a year at junior college, won junior college national player of the year, was an All-American, was absolutely outstanding, hit, I think, right around 400, if not above it, at that level, and is back at Coastal Carolina, and this will be a big weekend for him for sure. I'm curious to see, you touched on it last night, curious to see kind of what the vibe is. I don't know if he has bad blood or if there's bad blood anywhere else, but just like y'all said, I do think it's going to be an intense, like, frisky series for sure.
I do know that Thorndike was with Parker Bird and a couple of the other freshmen, Dixon, on the boat. So I think there's a good relationship there. I don't know what led to his transfer. Obviously, he didn't play, but it should be interesting to see what the vibes like I said. All right, Phil, do you have our pitcher's name from Queens College or whatever it's called?
Daniel Bagwell. That night against East Carolina, he faced 35 batters. He threw 8 2/3 and threw 129 pitches. His next outing was like that following weekend on Saturday. He only threw 1 inning, but allowed 4 runs. Then he pitched the Friday after that against Jacksonville State. Here you go, Igo. He actually faced 4 more batters against Jacksonville State than he did East Carolina. He faced 39 batters, throwing 109 pitches, 6 innings of work. He allowed 24 hits and 14 runs. And he did not walk anybody, though. So no walks, but out of his
no walks, no strikeouts.
He got that doesn't even add up though. He lit up 20. They must have got some double plays because he lit up 24 hits and he faced 39 batters, which would be 5 innings of work. But he got 6 innings of work, so he must have got some double plays or some pickoffs or something. And he did it while only allowing 1 home run, 1 triple, and 5 doubles. So he allowed 17 singles in that outing.
Oh my gosh. I just remember looking at the box score, and then to make matters worse, he allowed 10 hits, 10 runs the next week. But yeah, he had thrown twice the weekend before, against Tennessee Tech, and then he came back against ECU. Then he threw, like you said, 8 2/3. They just wouldn't take him out of the game. And then, obviously, his arm fell out. So at some point, Daniel Bagwell followed me on Twitter just because I kept tweeting about him.
This is like
it was awesome.
Well, just to throw twice in a weekend and then show up Tuesday and throw 129 pitches, it's something that would happen in like 1912. It's like something Cy Young would have done.
Braxton said he played with Daniel Bagwell. Used to play with him. What a pitcher. And Darrell, is Darrell related? I'm guessing they're related. Darrell says ECU will not sweep Coastal. Darrell Bodor.
That is Braxton's dad.
Okay, so he is not on the ECU sweep Coastal train, Cason. So hopefully you can earn some bragging rights there. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Lastly, before we get a break in, where can people find your work, Carolina Curveball, and the podcast as well? Which definitely y'all go twice a week, right, Cason? It's not like y'all would postpone anything.
Good one, dude. Good one. We did not have a show on Sunday night to recap due to logistical reasons. It's okay. We will be back on Thursday. You can find us at Carolina Curve BB on X. Our link tree is in our bio there. Same username on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. You can also join our Discord. We have a bunch of good stuff on there, kind of like a message board kind of thing. That link tree is in our bio at Carolina Curve BB on Twitter. Be sure to give us a follow, like, subscribe, and loads of content for you there.
Logistical reasons. The word from Cason. All right, well, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll talk basketball. Cason is a basketball guy. He was in Minji's Coliseum for Sunday's game against Charlotte. We'll discuss that and more. Look ahead to the Tulane game, what that means later this week. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Pirate fans, 2025 East Carolina football season tickets are on sale now and can be purchased for as little as $115. Head coach Blake Harrell wants you to be a part of his first full season as the Pirate coach as he builds momentum off of the 8-win season and the Military Bowl win over North Carolina State. Call 1-800-DIAL-ECU or go to ECUPirates.com today to get your 2025 season tickets.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday. We were talking about Daniel Bagwell's heroic performance back in the 2023 season when ECU played Queens. I went back through the Twitter archives and found a video clip of his performance that day. So I texted that to both of y'all. Y'all can enjoy that after the show. Let's talk some hoops, guys. ECU basketball gets a good win over Charlotte. Look, anytime you sweep in-state foes, that's a big deal. I know Charlotte's having a bad year. Philip and I touched on this a lot on Sunday. Sets up a big game on Thursday. Mike Schwartz, guys, I went back and I looked at the contract. He's got 2 more years left on his deal after this season. He gets an automatic 1-year extension if East Carolina wins 20 games or finishes in the top third of the conference. Now, 13-team league, technically to be in the top 33 percentile, which is the top third, he's got to finish top 4. So extra motivation to try and get that double bye, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But Cason Remaley, your thoughts on this Pirate basketball team now 17-12 and 9-7 in the league?
Well, I think they're a good team. They have somehow figured it out. I think that I've said on here before, I definitely think the talent last year was better, but they could not figure it out. And I think this team figured it out, playing with Cam and RJ and Jordan Riley, and how Woodard's been just an amazing piece these last couple games. And Woodard's performance does not show up in the box score. If you look at the box score and look at the box score, you're like, oh, Woodard didn't do much. But the plays he makes, just the tip balls, the rebounds, the type of rebounds he gets, he makes winning plays. He's one of those players that does not always show up in stat sheet, but he just makes winning plays. Jordan Riley's been great. Jan Farrell hits a 3 every now and then when you need it. C.J. Walker's been C.J. Walker, and then R.J. Felton. I mean, one of the greatest of all time to ever put on the purple and gold jersey. I have nothing else but good things to say about him, and I'm so happy for this team and happy for Coach Schwartz. A lot of us have been eating our words about him. I'm very happy for him. And then it just kind of makes you think. But then again, as Steven and me have said, the wins, losses do even each other out. But, I mean, if he wins those North Alabama games and just those Gardner-Webb games, it makes you look at this season kind of differently. Like, wow, this was really a good team. And I'm wishing for the best for them the rest of the way. I wish I could be there Thursday night as well. But I'm looking forward to the conference tournament. And, Steven, have you looked at prices yet of hotels and plane tickets?
I have not, because I am waiting for them to win Thursday, and then I'm going to start looking into it. I need it to become closer to reality, because let's be real, I personally think they're going to win Thursday, and then I think it's going to be tough to win at FAU. FAU is better than the record indicates, at least talent-wise. To me, they're one of the best talented teams in the league. I don't know. I mean, I want to go to Fort Worth, but I don't think it's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. Philip, do you think I'm going to be in Fort Worth?
No, I think ECU needs too much luck around it, too. Now, of course, UAB is the team we need to give us the luck to knock off some of the teams ahead of us, so that does help. But I don't know, man. It seems too good to be true. B, Igo's lying. He wants ECU to be a top 4 seed, but I don't think anything about him actually wants to go to Fort Worth. Like, I think he's been to the Dallas metro area plenty of times, and not that it's a bad area, but I think, I would rather this tournament be in Greensboro or Hawaii or somewhere that's either A, drivable, or B, fun to go to, because I think he couldn't give a rat's behind about Fort Worth.
That is pretty accurate. I mean, I'll say this. I like Dallas a lot more than the city of Houston amongst Texas cities I've been to. I was just in the Fort Worth area for the North Texas game. Obviously, Denton, north of Texas, had to go into Fort Worth. So, don't really want to go back. But, hey, if it means covering a conference championship, I will do it. I will gladly do it, and I'll stay there. And then I'll head to the West Coast for when ECU's playing in the Western bracket. Although Philip has a scenario where He has ECU as a 15, Tennessee as a 2 in Raleigh, right?
I do. When you look at where teams are going to bid, Duke and Tennessee are probably going to take the Raleigh bids. And some of the guys right now, I think Jerry Palm has Tennessee as a 1, but if they mess it up and fall to a 2, I could see that being very realistic based off ECU's net. If they were to win out, they would probably be on that 14 or 15 line. So, yeah, man, I'm all for it. Let's get it. Mike Schwartz, and we always know Tennessee chokes in the tournament. So here we go, baby. Let's go to Raleigh.
Mike Schwartz revenge game.
Yeah.
Mike Schwartz revenge game. Guys, who do y'all think leads the American Athletic Conference in block shots team?
The way you asked it, it must be
East
us.
Carolina.
East Carolina.
We don't even have a center.
I know, is that the most? Now this is for the season and not just conference. Let's see, conference only stats. I'm pulling that up as well. ECU in conference only leads the league in block shots by an even wider margin. Wow. So ECU is apparently I don't know, elite is the right word, but a very good shot blocking team. They rank above UAB, Memphis, and FAU in block shots with 79, nearly 5 a game in conference play. Am I as surprised? Are you guys as surprised by that as I am?
I am, because we don't have a true center, but when you look at the character and the attitude of the players on this roster, like if any team's going to do it without a center, it's this team, because you've got guys like Jay Shane Woodard who like live to make hustle plays. I think if you walked up to Jay and said, hey, you'll never score another collegiate basketball basket again, but you're going to be a starter because of your hustle plays, because you're going after loose balls and your ability to block shots, he'd be like, okay, that's fine. I don't care. And that's the attitude of a lot of guys on this team. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not surprised because of our effort, but I am surprised because our biggest player is a stretch 4, and we don't have a center on the roster that actually gets in the game.
Yeah, Jay Shane Woodard has 29 blocks to lead the team. Travion LeBeau has 26. CJ Walker has 24. RJ Felton and Jordan Riley each have 16. So you got 5 guys with 16 or more blocks. So, yeah, it's literally just like spread across the board. Even Cam Hayes has 3 blocks, Cason's boy. Imagine getting swatted by Cam Hayes.
He's got 3 career blocks, and they're all this year, baby.
Even Jan Farrell's got 6 blocks.
I will say that it kind of like, I know we don't have a big, but I will say a lot of these blocks I think are on closeouts. I do think this team closes out well and contests a lot of shots, especially when a team drives. I saw it versus Charlotte and other teams. They'll drive. They'll kind of do a little RJ Felton stop at the elbow or the corner and kind of get a jump shot off. And then you got length with LeBeau, Riley, and Woodard there. They're going to get a piece of it. I definitely think that is a good amount of blocks. And I've seen Woodard block a good amount of those shots. I've seen Woodard block 1 or 2 threes. And just it's kind of that length. I wouldn't say it's so much. Like it's not because we don't have a big. It's because we have good length at guard, and they close out very well. And Schwartz said on day 1, we're going to be a defensive team. We're going to close out hard. And it took 3 years to get here, but we got here. So
Jay Shane Woodard, hit like a dude will have a wide open 3. He'll just come flying and like deflect the ball from out of nowhere, which is pretty impressive. All right, we got to get a break in. Rich DeVita, a few comments before we do. Says Pirate baseball is never losing again. Skull Pirate says Carolina bounce pass coming soon, along with Carolina Curveball. To be sure, we can come up with something better than that. ECU Hoops appreciation posts. John Moody checks in. $5 tickets for Thursday, Cameron points out. Yeah, I think Bobby Harward and Cameron have both been hitting the, hey, let's sell tickets for $5. And, hey, they listened. So $5 tickets for Thursday. Johnny Robertson's got a question we'll address on the other side as we wrap up the show. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
Ready to go for big savings? You've got the green light at Greenville Toyota with the new Corolla just $239 a month or new Tacoma only $349 a month. The green light savings event is on right now at Greenville Toyota.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed, meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger.
Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Hey, grab me one too.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available, call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Green is what you'll save during our Green Light Savings event at Greenville Toyota. Get a new Camry, $269 a month, or a new RAV4, $339 a month. When the green light is on, you save big at Greenville Toyota.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and I go on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the colors. Final few minutes here of the Tuesday, March 4th edition of the show. We've talked a lot of college baseball and a lot of ECU basketball. Cason Remaley from Carolina Curveball with us. Philip Pilkington also with us. We had a question, guys, from Johnny Robertson. He wants to know what would be the possibility for R.J. Felton to throw out the first pitch and then do the jungle jump at a weekend series after the AAC basketball tournament has concluded. He adds, "It is not my idea, but I like the concept." Reminds me a lot of when Keaton Mitchell was heavily involved with the jungle. I think this would be pretty awesome. I don't know if RJ is interested, Cason, but I think everybody would be all for this.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely no doubt about it. He'd be able to do it. I think everyone would welcome that. I think if he did that, I would like it to be on a prominent game so that there's a lot of fans there, like maybe like the NC State midweek game. Because it would get a real pop if he went out there and did it, because it is R.J. Felton. And just kind of R.J. Felton. I mean, just talk about loyalty you don't see nowadays in all of college sports. You can go across the major sports. You don't see it, and just he deserves all his flowers. I mean, there's nothing else you want to say about him.
What do you think, Philip?
Well, first off, Johnny Stats didn't give us any stats today. He just asked a question.
Yeah, come on, Johnny.
Stats. What are you doing, man? You're supposed to contribute to the show here. No, look, I'm for it. Yeah, I think it'd be good. You know, we had the whole Rajay thing at a basketball game, and it seems like we don't do as much for getting football players or basketball players to baseball games as we do, you know, getting to football. We get baseball and basketball players. Football, it seems like, and we get everybody to basketball games. So, yeah, no, I'm for it. Let's do it. And like Case said, there'd be a great pop.
Another question I had as I was looking over some of the conference stats, guys, is that East Carolina, as we sit here today, overall stats, ECU has the second and third leading scorer. Actually, this is in conference-only play. The second and third leading scorers in the conference. R.J. Felton averaging 19.8 points per game. C.J. Walker averaging 18.4. P.J. Haggerty from Memphis leading the league in scoring. Can ECU, what you got, Cason?
I remember in our preview show for basketball, we said we did not think there would be a second double-figure score on this team.
Yeah, and we were dead wrong. Can ECU get 2 guys on the first team all-conference list? There's no way they're going to let this happen, right? What do you think, Cason?
RJ Felton will, personally me, but is there another big that could push off CJ Walker? I'm not sure off the top of my head.
They don't do it by
Borg.
position. It ain't like baseball.
Yeah.
They don't do it 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just the 5 best players. I think if ECU gets a bye and finishes in the top 4, yes. If they do not get a bye, no.
Yeah, because you got Haggerty's going to make it. RJ is probably going to make it. Primo Spears from UTSA is 4th in the league in scoring. Will he make it on a bad team? I don't know. You got Lindeborg from UAB. Rowan Brumbaugh from Tulane probably going to make it. Cason's favorite player. Nick Graves up there. But I think there's a good shot. But I just don't know if they'll do it because it's ECU basketball. So who knows? But just wanted to bring that up. We'll see how the next 2 games goes. That'll say a lot. All right, we're out of time. Cason, appreciate you as always, man. And we'll see you. We'll get you on the show in the next few weeks. But enjoy the game tonight in Fayetteville. Represent Pirate Nation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on. Philip, Stevens, good to see you guys. The game will be on radio for sure. Listen on 943 The Game, but also I will be helping out with the game thread on Hoist the Colors. I will do my best with I'll do my best to do pitch by pitch, play by play, if my fingers don't freeze off typing so much.
There you go. Appreciate you, Cason. Always great to have you back on, man. And Philip, thanks to you for all your hard work as always. Tomorrow, Philip and I will take a look at the ECU football schedule, which we really haven't had a chance to dive into yet. We'll also be joined by Corey Glore, former ECU baseball voice, as he is now the voice of the Tulane Green Wave. We'll preview Tulane ECU, the rematch coming up on tomorrow's show. We'll see you then, 12 noon on Wednesday.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors on 943 The Game.